Every morning inside the luxurious estate of Sophia and Hudson began like a scene from a perfect love story. Behind the tall iron gates and beautifully landscaped gardens stood a home that represented years of ambition, sacrifice, and success. To anyone looking from the outside, their marriage seemed flawless, a powerful woman who had conquered the business world and a supportive husband who proudly stood beside her. Sophia was not an ordinary woman. She was the founder and CEO of a rapidly growing corporate empire that she had built with her own intelligence, determination, and endless hard work. Years earlier, she had started with nothing more than a small office, a handful of employees, and a dream that many people believed was impossible. Through countless sleepless nights, difficult negotiations, and risky decisions, she transformed that dream into a company respected across the industry. In the boardroom, Sophia was known as a fearless leader. Competitors respected her, employees admired her, and investors trusted her judgment. She had the rare ability to remain calm under pressure, make difficult decisions, and see opportunities where others only saw problems. Many people described her as a woman who was always 3 steps ahead. But the Sophia who returned home every evening was completely different from the powerful executive the world knew. Inside her marriage, she allowed herself to put down her armor. With Hudson, she was not the intimidating CEO who controlled million-dollar deals. She was simply a wife who wanted love, warmth, and a peaceful home after fighting battles in the business world all day. She trusted him completely and believed that their relationship was the safest place in her life. Hudson understood this side of Sophia better than anyone, or at least that was what she believed. Every morning before Sophia left for another demanding day at the company, Hudson made sure she felt cared for. He prepared her coffee exactly the way she liked it, reminded her not to skip breakfast, and gently encouraged her not to push herself too hard. Small gestures like placing a glass of fresh juice beside her laptop or adjusting her jacket before she walked out the door meant more to Sophia than any expensive gift. To her, those little moments were proof that she had chosen the right man. While the world admired Sophia for her wealth and achievements, Hudson made her feel valued as a person rather than just a successful businesswoman. That feeling was priceless to her. She often told herself that money could buy luxury houses, designer clothes, and beautiful vacations, but it could never buy the kind of genuine partnership she believed she had found with Hudson. Because of that trust, Sophia wanted Hudson to grow alongside her. She gave him a position as a marketing manager within one of her companies. It was not because she wanted to hand him success without effort. Sophia genuinely believed he was intelligent, creative, and capable of building his own professional reputation. She never viewed him as someone beneath her. In her heart, they were equals. She imagined a future where they would continue expanding their dreams together, building their careers, creating a family, and enjoying everything they had worked so hard to achieve. Their friends often admired their relationship. At business, dinners, and charity events, people looked at them as the perfect power couple. Sophia was confident and elegant, while Hudson appeared charming, patient, and supportive. He always knew exactly what to say, when to hold her hand, and how to make everyone believe he was the devoted husband standing proudly beside his successful wife. Sophia never questioned his sincerity. When Hudson smiled at her across a crowded room, she saw the man who had supported her during stressful nights and celebrated her biggest victories. She saw the person she trusted with her heart, her home, and her future. She had no reason to suspect that behind his loving words and gentle actions there were feelings he never revealed. Deep inside, Hudson carried an insecurity that slowly grew stronger over time. Although he enjoyed the beautiful home, expensive lifestyle, and respect that came with being Sophia's husband, a part of him struggled with the reality that most of their success came from her achievements. He hated hearing whispers that his career had advanced because of his marriage. He hated wondering whether people respected him for his abilities or simply because he was connected to Sophia. But instead of admitting those feelings, Hudson buried them. Every morning, he continued playing the role of the perfect husband. He kissed Sophia goodbye, reminded her to drive safely, and watched as she left their estate in the luxury car she had earned through years of hard work. Sophia drove away each day with a peaceful heart, believing she had everything a person could hope for: success, love, loyalty, and a partner who would never betray her. She had built an empire in business, but more importantly, she believed she had built an unbreakable foundation at home. Unfortunately, the strongest illusions are often the ones that look the most beautiful from the outside. The peaceful life Sophia cherished was not as perfect as she believed. The loving husband she trusted more than anyone was hiding emotions that would eventually lead him down a dangerous path. The marriage she considered her greatest source of happiness was standing on a foundation far more fragile than she realized. And soon one unexpected person would enter Hudson's life, and reveal the cracks that had been silently growing beneath the surface. Sophia had spent years protecting everything she built, but she never imagined that the person capable of hurting her the most was the same person she kissed goodbye every morning. At the company, Hudson was no longer the gentle and caring husband who prepared coffee for Sophia every morning or whispered encouraging words before she left home. Inside the corporate building, he became Mr. Hudson, a confident marketing manager who led meetings, approved strategies, and supervised a growing team of employees. From the outside, Hudson appeared to have everything most people dreamed of. He had a respected position, a luxurious lifestyle, and a beautiful, successful wife who trusted him completely. People greeted him politely when he walked through the office hallways, and his opinions were always taken seriously during discussions. However, behind that confident image existed a quiet insecurity that Hudson never allowed anyone to see. No matter how many achievements he made, there was always a small voice in the back of his mind reminding him that he was living in Sophia's world. The company belonged to her. The house belonged to her. The wealth, reputation, and influence surrounding their lives had all been created by Sophia's years of sacrifice and intelligence. Although Sophia never once made him feel inferior, Hudson could not escape his own feelings of inadequacy. She always treated him as an equal partner, but he constantly wondered if everyone else saw him the same way. Every compliment he received felt incomplete. Whenever an employee praised his leadership, a part of him questioned whether they truly respected him or if they were simply being polite because he was married to the owner of the company. Every time he entered an executive meeting, he wondered if people saw Hudson, the talented manager, or just Hudson, Sophia's husband. It was a thought that slowly damaged his pride. He never talked about it with Sophia because admitting those emotions would mean revealing a weakness he desperately wanted to hide. Instead, he smiled, acted supportive, and pretended that nothing bothered him. But deep inside, Hudson wanted something he felt he had lost. He wanted to feel powerful. He wanted to feel needed. He wanted someone to look at him as if he was the reason their world became better. That was when Haley entered his life. Haley was a new employee who joined the marketing department. Unlike the confident executives Hudson interacted with every day, she seemed quiet, uncertain, and overwhelmed by the corporate environment. She came from a small town and did not have the same polished appearance as many of the other employees. Her clothes were simple, her personality was reserved, and she often avoided drawing attention to herself. At first, Hudson barely noticed her. She was just another young employee trying to find her place inside a competitive company. But slowly, small details about Haley began catching his attention. He noticed how she stayed late after everyone else had gone home, carefully reviewing reports because she was afraid of making mistakes. He noticed how she brought inexpensive meals from home instead of joining coworkers at expensive restaurants nearby. Most importantly, he noticed the sadness she tried to hide. One afternoon, everything changed. Haley made a serious mistake on an important marketing report that was supposed to be presented to senior executives. The error created confusion across the department, and everyone expected Hudson to react harshly. When Haley walked into his office, she looked completely defeated. Her hands trembled as she held the corrected documents, and she immediately apologized. She admitted that she had failed to double-check the numbers and told Hudson she understood if he wanted to remove her from the project. She expected anger. She expected disappointment. But Hudson's reaction surprised her. Instead of criticizing her, he calmly asked her to sit down. For reasons he could not explain, seeing Haley so vulnerable awakened something inside him. She did not look at him like employees looked at Sophia. She was not measuring him against his wife's success or comparing his achievements to someone else's. She simply looked at him as someone who had the power to help her, and that feeling was intoxicating. Hudson told Haley that everyone made mistakes, and that one failure did not define her entire career. He stayed after work with her that evening, helping her fix every detail of the report. Hour after hour, they sat together in the empty office. The professional distance between manager and employee slowly became something more personal. As they worked, Haley began opening up about her struggles. She told Hudson about growing up with limited money, about worrying over her mother's medical expenses, and about how much pressure she felt to succeed because her family depended on her. She explained that this job was not just a career opportunity. To her, it was a chance to change her entire life. Hudson listened carefully. For the first time in years, someone was not talking to him about business deals, investments, or Sophia's accomplishments. Someone needed him. Someone depended on him. When Haley looked at him with admiration and told him she did not know what she would have done without his help, something inside Hudson shifted. It was a simple sentence, but to him it meant everything. Sophia respected Hudson, but she did not need him to survive. She was strong, independent, and capable of handling any challenge on her own. Haley was different. Around Haley, Hudson felt important in a way he had secretly craved for years. He felt like a protector, a provider, a hero, and that feeling became dangerous. After that night, Hudson found himself paying more attention to Haley. What started as professional guidance slowly became personal conversations. A quick question about work turned into long discussions about life dreams and struggles. He convinced himself that he was only being kind. He told himself that helping a young employee succeed was part of being a good manager. But deep down, he knew something had changed. He started looking forward to her messages. He smiled when her name appeared on his phone. He enjoyed hearing her praise him and tell him how lucky she was to have someone like him supporting her. Every word of admiration filled the empty spaces inside his damaged ego. One day, Hudson saw Haley sitting alone during lunch with a simple homemade meal. She looked embarrassed when he noticed, explaining that she was saving money and could not afford to eat out often. Without thinking, Hudson invited her to lunch at an expensive restaurant. Haley refused at first, saying she did not want to cause trouble. But her hesitation only made Hudson feel more determined. For the first time in a long time, he was the person with the power to give. At lunch, Haley looked around the beautiful restaurant with amazement. She thanked him repeatedly and told him no one had ever treated her with such kindness before. Those words affected Hudson more than they should have. He was not falling in love with Haley. He was falling in love with the version of himself he became around her. With Sophia, he was the husband of a powerful woman. With Haley, he was the powerful one. That difference slowly blinded him. He ignored the warning signs. He ignored the boundaries he was crossing. He ignored the wife who trusted him completely. Every secret conversation, every private lunch, and every hidden smile pulled him further away from the marriage he once promised to protect. Hudson convinced himself that he was simply helping someone who needed him. But the truth was much darker. Haley had not created his insecurity. She had simply discovered the weakness that was already there. And Hudson, desperate to feel admired, opened a door that would eventually destroy everything Sophia had built with him. The betrayal did not begin with a dramatic decision. It began quietly, with a wounded ego, with a need to feel important, and with one man choosing temporary admiration over genuine love. After that first private lunch with Haley, something inside Hudson began to change. What should have remained a simple act of kindness between a manager and an employee slowly transformed into something far more dangerous. At first, Hudson convinced himself that he was only helping someone who was struggling. He told himself that Haley was young, inexperienced, and alone in a difficult world. He believed offering advice, buying an occasional meal, or listening to her problems was nothing more than compassion, but deep down he knew the truth. He enjoyed the way Haley looked at him. He enjoyed the admiration in her eyes whenever he solved a problem for her. He enjoyed becoming someone's hero, and slowly that feeling became something he was unwilling to give up. Their conversations became more frequent. A few work-related messages during office hours turned into personal texts late at night. Haley started asking about his opinions, his favorite restaurants, his dreams, and his life outside the company. Hudson should have created distance. Instead, he welcomed the attention. Whenever Sophia was busy reviewing contracts or preparing for important meetings, Hudson found himself secretly waiting for Haley's messages. A simple notification from her was enough to make him smile. It was not because Haley understood him better than Sophia did. It was because Haley made him feel like the man he always wanted to believe he was. Powerful, successful, needed. Around Sophia, Hudson was surrounded by reminders of what she had accomplished. Their beautiful estate, luxury vehicles, private memberships, and exclusive lifestyle existed because of her intelligence and determination. But with Haley, he could rewrite the story. He could pretend he was the source of that world. And Haley believed it. The first time Hudson took Haley to an expensive restaurant, she stared at the elegant decorations and carefully prepared dishes with amazement. She told him she had never experienced anything like it before. That reaction gave Hudson exactly what he wanted. Sophia was grateful for his love, but she was never impressed by luxury. She could buy anything she wanted because she had earned everything herself. Haley reacted differently. Every expensive meal, every thoughtful gift, and every luxurious experience made her look at Hudson as if he was extraordinary. So Hudson started giving more. A lunch once a week became multiple private dinners. A small favor became expensive surprises. A harmless friendship became a secret life. He began taking Haley to exclusive restaurants where the bills cost more than her monthly rent. He bought her designer clothes after hearing her complain that she always felt inferior compared to wealthy women in the city. At first, Haley hesitated. She told Hudson the gifts were too much. She said she could never accept something so expensive. But Hudson insisted. He told her she deserved beautiful things after everything she had been through. The truth was that every time Haley accepted his generosity, Hudson felt stronger. He felt like the successful man he always pretended to be. There was only one problem. The money was not truly his. The credit cards belonged to Sophia. The financial freedom belonged to Sophia. The lifestyle he was showing Haley existed because of Sophia. Hudson was standing on the empire his wife had built while pretending he was the king of it. The first time he used Sophia's premium credit card to buy Haley an expensive gift, he hesitated. For a brief moment, guilt entered his mind. He imagined Sophia's face. The woman who trusted him. The woman who gave him opportunities. The woman who believed they were building a future together. But then he imagined Haley's reaction. The excitement. The gratitude. The admiration. And his ego won. He convinced himself it was harmless. He told himself that Sophia had more money than she could ever spend and that one purchase would not matter. But one lie always requires another. Soon Hudson stopped feeling guilty. The expensive charges became normal. Designer handbags, jewelry, luxury dinners, weekend experiences. Each purchase strengthened the fantasy world he had created with Haley. In that fantasy, Hudson was not the husband of a successful CEO. He was the wealthy businessman. He was the provider. He was the person changing Haley's life. Meanwhile, every evening he returned home and became Sophia's loving husband again. The transformation was almost frightening. He could spend the afternoon choosing expensive gifts for another woman, and then return home to kiss Sophia on the forehead as if nothing had happened. He could send sweet messages to Haley while sitting beside his wife. He could look Sophia in the eyes and tell her he loved her while hiding an entirely different life behind his phone screen. Sophia never suspected the depth of his betrayal because Hudson knew exactly how to maintain the illusion. He still prepared her coffee. He still reminded her to rest. He still celebrated her achievements. He understood that as long as he continued acting like the perfect husband, Sophia would have no reason to question him. And for a while, his plan worked. The woman who could identify weaknesses in million-dollar business deals failed to see the betrayal happening inside her own home. Not because she was careless, but because she loved him. Trust made her believe the best in him. While Sophia was building their future, Hudson was secretly stealing pieces of it and giving them to someone else. Eventually, the lies became even bigger. Haley started wanting more. Expensive restaurants were no longer enough. Designer gifts became expected instead of surprising. She had experienced the world Hudson showed her, and now she wanted to live inside it permanently. Hudson, addicted to being admired, continued feeding the illusion. He began driving Sophia's luxury sports car whenever he visited Haley. At first, he told himself it was only transportation. But when Haley sat inside the expensive vehicle and looked at him with excitement, Hudson allowed himself to believe the car represented his own success. He loved watching people notice them. He loved seeing Haley smile when strangers assumed he was a powerful man with unlimited wealth. Every misunderstanding boosted his pride. Every false impression made him feel more important. Slowly, he forgot the difference between what belonged to him and what belonged to Sophia. Her money became his money. Her achievements became his achievements. Her lifestyle became the mask he wore in front of Haley. The most unforgivable decision came when Hudson crossed a boundary he could never repair. Sophia owned a newly completed luxury estate, a breathtaking modern home she had designed as a symbol of their future together. She imagined raising a family there. She imagined creating memories there. She believed it represented the next beautiful chapter of their marriage. But Hudson saw something else. An opportunity. A way to impress Haley even more. He introduced the house as if it were his own accomplishment. He allowed Haley to walk through the rooms, admire the expensive details, and believe he was the man responsible for creating such a magnificent place. Haley looked at him with the admiration he desperately craved. And instead of correcting the lie, Hudson accepted it. Eventually, he allowed her to stay there. The home Sophia built with years of sacrifice became the stage for Hudson's fake identity. The bedroom Sophia designed became Haley's private space. The future Sophia dreamed about was being occupied by the woman destroying her marriage. Hudson no longer saw himself as someone borrowing Sophia's success. In his mind, he deserved it. He convinced himself that after years of standing beside a powerful woman, he had earned the right to enjoy the benefits. But the truth was painfully simple. Hudson was not building anything. He was taking. He was not protecting Haley. He was using Sophia. The man who wanted so desperately to feel powerful had become completely dependent on the woman he was betraying. And while he continued playing the role of a wealthy hero in Haley's eyes, he failed to realize one dangerous fact. The empire he was pretending to own was created by a woman far smarter than him. And sooner or later, Sophia would discover exactly what he had done. At first, the changes in Hudson were almost impossible to notice. They were not dramatic enough to create an immediate confrontation. There was no obvious evidence, no undeniable mistake, and no single moment that clearly revealed the truth. Instead, the signs appeared slowly, quietly, like tiny cracks forming across a beautiful piece of glass. From the outside, Hudson was still the same loving husband Sophia had always known. He still smiled at her in the morning, still asked about her meetings, still kissed her goodbye before she left for work. Everything looked normal, but something felt different, and Sophia could feel it. She had spent years building a business empire by noticing details other people ignored. She could walk into a negotiation room and recognize hesitation from a single facial expression. She could sense when a business partner was hiding information before they ever admitted it. Her instincts had protected her countless times in the corporate world. Now, for the first time, those same instincts were warning her inside her own marriage. The first change was Hudson's phone. For years, his phone had never been something he protected. He would leave it on the kitchen counter while cooking, forget it on the couch while watching movies, or ask Sophia to check messages for him when his hands were full. There had never been secrets between them. But suddenly that changed. His phone was always with him, always locked, always facing down. Even inside their own home, he carried it as if it contained something too dangerous for anyone else to see. At first, Sophia ignored it. She told herself she was overthinking. Hudson worked in marketing. He managed important projects. He communicated with employees and clients every day. A busy phone did not mean betrayal. At least that was what she wanted to believe. But the strange behavior continued. Whenever a message appeared on his screen, Hudson reacted faster than usual. His eyes immediately moved toward the notification before he casually picked up the device and slipped it into his pocket. When phone calls came during dinner, he no longer answered beside her. Instead, he walked away, sometimes into another room, sometimes outside onto the balcony. When Sophia asked who called, his answers were always reasonable. A client, an employee, a last-minute work issue. Nothing suspicious enough to challenge. Nothing convincing enough to calm the uncomfortable feeling growing inside her. Then came the late nights. Hudson began staying at the office more frequently. At first it happened once every few weeks, then once a week, then several times. The messages always sounded believable. Unexpected meeting. Important deadline. Problem with the marketing report. Sophia understood professional pressure better than anyone. She knew leadership required sacrifice. She had spent countless nights at the office herself while building her company. So instead of complaining, she supported him. She offered to send dinner. She told him she was proud of his dedication. She reminded him not to exhaust himself. But strangely, Hudson always refused her offers. Every single time. He told her not to worry. He claimed he would grab something quick with the team. He said there was no need for anyone to come by the office. That was when Sophia's doubts became harder to ignore. A man with nothing to hide would not work so hard to prevent his wife from helping him. Still, she remained silent. Love made her patient. Trust made her search for innocent explanations. She did not want to become the kind of person who suspected the man she loved without proof. Then one night, Hudson came home much later than usual. The house was quiet. Sophia was still awake in their bedroom reading documents on her tablet when she heard the front door open. Hudson walked in looking exhausted. He smiled. He apologized. He said the meeting had lasted longer than expected. Everything about his explanation seemed normal. Until Sophia hugged him. That was when she noticed it. A scent. A perfume. It was faint but unmistakable. And it was not hers. Sophia knew every fragrance inside their home. She knew the expensive cologne Hudson wore every morning. She knew the scent of their laundry products and the luxury candles placed throughout the estate. This was different. It was sweeter, cheaper, clearly feminine. For a moment, Sophia froze. Her mind immediately recognized the possibility, but her heart rejected it. Hudson, the man who had supported her for years, the husband who held her hand through every difficult moment. Impossible. Trying to remain calm, Sophia gently asked about the unfamiliar perfume. Hudson's reaction lasted less than a second. But Sophia saw it. The slight hesitation, the brief panic in his eyes, the tiny moment where his expression changed before he regained control. Most people would have missed it. Sophia did not. After years of negotiating with powerful executives, she knew the difference between surprise and fear. Hudson quickly smiled and explained that it probably belonged to a coworker. He said they had been stuck in a small conference room all evening reviewing a project. The explanation made sense. Too much sense. Almost prepared. Then, before Sophia could say anything else, Hudson removed his shirt and threw it into the laundry. A little too quickly. A little too urgently. Sophia noticed that too. But again she said nothing. She wanted to believe him. Because accepting the alternative meant accepting that the person closest to her was capable of looking into her eyes and lying. Over the next few days, Hudson became unusually affectionate. Flowers appeared in her office. Breakfast was waiting for her in bed. Sweet messages arrived throughout the day. Every romantic gesture softened her suspicion. Maybe she had been wrong. Maybe she had allowed stress to affect her judgment. Maybe Hudson was simply overwhelmed. Sophia almost convinced herself to forget everything. Until the credit card statement arrived. At the end of every month, Sophia personally reviewed their financial records. It was an old habit from her early business days when every dollar mattered. Even after becoming wealthy, she never ignored details. That habit was exactly what revealed the next warning sign. A large purchase appeared from an exclusive designer boutique. The amount was shocking. Even for someone with Sophia's level of wealth, she stared at the transaction carefully. She had not purchased anything from that store. She had not visited that location. And she had no memory of approving the charge. That evening, when Hudson returned home, Sophia decided to ask him directly. Not with anger. Not with accusations. Only curiosity. She showed him the statement and jokingly asked whether he had secretly bought her another expensive surprise. For a moment, Hudson's face changed. Again, Sophia saw it. That same flash of panic. But just like before, he recovered quickly. He laughed. He smiled. He acted embarrassed. He told her she had ruined the surprise. According to him, he had purchased a designer handbag for her upcoming birthday and planned to hide it until the perfect moment. The answer was charming, thoughtful, exactly the kind of thing a loving husband would do. And Sophia wanted desperately for it to be true. She felt guilty for doubting him. She apologized. She hugged him. She told herself she was lucky to have a man who still cared enough to surprise her. But something inside her refused to relax. The logical part of her accepted Hudson's explanation. The instinctive part did not. A few days later, curiosity pushed her to look for the supposed gift. She checked the closets, the storage areas, the places Hudson normally hid presents. Nothing. No box. No receipt. No handbag. Only silence. That small discovery changed everything. For the first time, Sophia stopped trying to prove Hudson was innocent. She started wondering if she needed to prove he was guilty. The loving wife inside her was terrified of the answer. But the businesswoman inside her understood something important. When numbers do not match, investigate. When stories do not align, search deeper. And when someone's actions contradict their words, trust the evidence. Not the illusion. Sophia was not ready to confront Hudson. Not yet. She needed facts. She needed certainty. Because if the man she loved was truly betraying her, she would not walk into that battle emotionally unprepared. Hudson believed Sophia was too trusting to notice the truth. He believed his perfect performance could protect his double life forever. But he had forgotten one very important thing. The woman he was deceiving had built an empire by recognizing lies before anyone else could see them. And now, for the first time, Sophia was no longer looking at him as only her husband. She was looking at him as a mystery she needed to solve. The missing designer handbag was only the beginning. For days after discovering that Hudson's explanation did not match reality, Sophia found herself trapped between two versions of the man she married. One version was the Hudson she wanted to believe in. The husband who prepared her coffee every morning. The man who held her hand during difficult times. The partner she trusted with her dreams, her success, and her future. The other version was someone she barely recognized. A man who hid phone calls. A man who lied effortlessly. A man whose actions created questions he could no longer explain. Sophia desperately wanted the first version to be real. But she had built her entire career by accepting uncomfortable truths, not comforting illusions. Ignoring facts simply because they were painful was something weak executives did. And Sophia was not weak. She understood that emotions could cloud judgment. She knew that confronting Hudson too soon would only give him a chance to create another believable excuse. So she waited. She watched. She listened. And eventually, the mistake she needed appeared. While searching through financial documents in Hudson's private office, Sophia discovered something that made every unanswered question return at once. A receipt. At first, it looked ordinary. Just another piece of paper hidden among countless business files. But when Sophia looked closer, her entire body went still. It was a vehicle service invoice. For her car, her white luxury sports car, the vehicle she rarely allowed anyone else to drive. The date on the receipt immediately caught her attention. It was from the exact same day Hudson had claimed he was away on a business trip. According to him, he had spent that entire day meeting important clients in another city. But according to the document in Sophia's hand, her car had been serviced somewhere completely different. A small repair shop, far outside the area where Hudson should have been. Sophia stared at the address. Then suddenly one memory returned. A casual conversation from weeks earlier. Hudson had mentioned Haley, his young marketing assistant, the struggling employee who lived far away from the city, the employee he claimed he only felt sorry for. And the location of that repair shop was extremely close to the neighborhood where Haley lived. The connection was impossible to ignore. For several minutes, Sophia remained completely silent. There was no screaming, no crying, no emotional breakdown. Only the heavy silence of someone watching the final pieces of a painful puzzle fall into place. Hudson had not made one mistake. He had created an entire hidden life. That realization hurt more than she expected. Because betrayal was not only about another woman, it was about every morning he smiled at her while hiding the truth. Every kiss, every conversation, every promise. Sophia carefully placed the receipt back exactly where she found it. Hudson could not know she was suspicious. Not yet. She needed the complete truth. And something deep inside her told her the worst discovery was still waiting. A few nights later, Hudson sent another familiar message. Another late meeting. Another unexpected work problem. Another excuse. Months ago, Sophia would have believed him immediately. This time she simply stared at the message. Her heart already knew. Instead of replying with suspicion, she answered like the supportive wife he expected. She told him to work hard and come home safely. Then she picked up her car keys. But she did not drive to his office. She drove somewhere else. The new estate. Her dream house. The home she had spent years creating. That property was never just another investment to Sophia. It represented everything she wanted for the future. She personally chose every detail. The architecture, the furniture, the materials, the colors. She imagined peaceful mornings there with Hudson. She imagined children running through the hallways. She imagined holidays, family dinners, and a lifetime of memories. That house was supposed to become their next chapter, a symbol of everything they had built together. As Sophia drove through the quiet streets leading toward the private neighborhood, she almost turned around several times. A part of her still hoped she was wrong. Maybe she was becoming paranoid. Maybe stress had affected her judgment. Maybe there was still an innocent explanation. But the closer she got, the stronger her instincts became. The same instincts that had protected her through years of business battles were now telling her one thing. Keep going. When Sophia finally arrived near the property, she parked a short distance away. The neighborhood was silent. The houses were dark. Everything appeared normal, until she looked at her own estate and saw the light. The upstairs bedroom light was on. Sophia stopped breathing for a moment. That was impossible. No one lived there. No one should have been inside. The house was supposed to be empty, waiting, untouched. She sat inside her car, staring at the glowing window. Her mind searched for explanations. Maybe security entered the house. Maybe a worker forgot something. Maybe there was a reasonable answer. Then she saw movement. A shadow crossed the bedroom window. A woman. At that moment, Sophia no longer needed theories. She had her answer. The pain that hit her was unlike anything she had experienced before. She had faced competitors trying to destroy her company. She had survived people underestimating her. She had lost business deals worth millions. But nothing compared to watching someone steal the life she believed she was building with the person she loved. Sophia drove away that night without confronting anyone, because walking in emotionally would only satisfy her anger. She needed control. The next morning after Hudson left for work, Sophia returned. This time she was ready. The moment she unlocked the front door, she knew. The house felt different. It no longer carried the clean scent of new furniture, fresh materials, and untouched luxury. Someone had been living there. The air smelled of cheap perfume, old food, artificial air fresheners. A stranger's presence. Sophia slowly stepped inside. Every corner confirmed the betrayal. The elegant living room she had designed with expensive custom furniture was no longer perfectly arranged. There were magazines scattered across the table, a half-empty drink sitting where it did not belong, random personal items carelessly placed around a home they had no right to enter. Her home. Sophia continued walking. The kitchen was worse. The beautiful space she imagined using for family dinners was filled with evidence of someone else's life. Food containers, dirty dishes, trash left behind without care. Every detail felt like an insult. Not because of the mess, because of what it represented. Hudson had allowed another woman to treat Sophia's dream as if it belonged to her. Then Sophia walked upstairs, toward the master bedroom. Each step felt heavier than the last. A part of her already knew what she would find, but seeing it was different. When she opened the door, the final piece of her marriage shattered. The bedroom she personally designed was completely changed. The bed she chose. The room she imagined sharing with her husband. The private space meant for their future. It had been taken over by another woman. The elegant bedding was replaced with cheap, colorful sheets. Clothes that did not belong to Sophia filled parts of the closet. Makeup products were scattered across her expensive vanity. Perfume bottles, hair products, jewelry. Evidence of Haley existed everywhere. Sophia walked through the room slowly, almost silently. This was not just an affair. This was an invasion. Hudson had not only given another woman his attention, he had given her Sophia's life, her house, her comfort, her future. Everything Sophia worked for had been used to impress someone who had contributed nothing. Then she saw a photograph. Hudson and Haley, smiling, happy, standing inside the home Sophia created. For a moment, the pain almost broke through. Almost. But then something inside Sophia changed. The sadness became something colder, something sharper. She realized the man she loved was gone. Maybe he had never existed the way she believed. The Hudson standing in that photograph was not a confused husband who made a mistake. He was a man who repeatedly chose to betray her. And that difference mattered. Sophia gently placed the photograph back. She wiped away the single tear threatening to fall. Then she reached into her bag and pulled out her phone. Not to call Hudson. Not to scream. Not to beg for answers. She opened the camera and started collecting evidence. Every room, every item, every sign of betrayal. Photo after photo, proof after proof. The emotional wife disappeared. The strategic CEO returned. Hudson thought Sophia's love made her blind. He forgot that before she was his wife, she was the woman who built an empire from nothing. She did not win by reacting emotionally. She won by thinking ahead. As Sophia locked the door and walked away from the house that day, she was no longer asking why Hudson betrayed her. That question no longer mattered. The only question left was what she would do next, and Hudson had no idea that the woman he underestimated had just become his most dangerous opponent. When Sophia stepped out of the estate that morning, she was no longer the same woman who had entered. The woman who unlocked that front door still carried a small piece of hope. A hope that maybe there had been a misunderstanding. A hope that maybe Hudson had an explanation. A hope that the man she loved had not truly become someone capable of destroying everything they built together. But the woman who walked out understood the truth completely. Her marriage had not been damaged by one mistake. It had been carefully betrayed through hundreds of choices. Every hidden phone call, every fake business trip, every stolen dollar. Every moment Hudson smiled at her while creating a different life with Haley. Those were not accidents. They were decisions. And Sophia knew decisions had consequences. As she sat inside her car outside the estate, her hands rested quietly on the steering wheel. Her expression was calm, almost unreadable. Most people would have exploded. They would have called Hudson immediately. They would have screamed, demanded answers, or rushed into a confrontation fueled by anger. But Sophia was not most people. She had spent years fighting in boardrooms where emotions were weaknesses competitors waited to exploit. She knew the first person to lose control was usually the first person to lose the battle. And this was no longer only about heartbreak. This was about protecting everything she had built. Hudson had underestimated her because he only saw the loving wife who trusted him. He forgot about the woman behind the success. The woman who negotiated impossible deals. The woman who defeated powerful competitors. The woman who built an empire because she understood one simple rule: never attack before you understand the entire battlefield. So Sophia did nothing. At least that was what Hudson believed. When he came home that evening, she greeted him exactly the same way she always had. She smiled. She asked about his day. She listened as he described another completely fabricated story about meetings, clients, and business problems. Every word was a lie, and now she knew it. But she did not interrupt him. She did not challenge him. She studied him. The way his eyes moved when he lied. The way his voice changed. The way he created details to make his stories believable. Sophia realized something painful. Hudson had become extremely comfortable deceiving her. This was not the nervous behavior of a man who made one terrible mistake. This was the confidence of someone who believed he would never be caught. That realization removed the last remaining trace of sympathy she had for him. From that night forward, Sophia stopped acting like a betrayed wife. She became an investigator. The first step was securing every piece of evidence from the estate. She organized all the photographs she had taken into encrypted folders. Pictures of Haley's belongings. Pictures of the destroyed bedroom. Pictures of the personal items scattered throughout a house she had paid for. Each image was labeled by date and location. Sophia treated every detail like evidence in a corporate fraud investigation. Because in her mind, that was exactly what this was. Hudson had not only betrayed their marriage, he had stolen resources. He had misused assets. He had created an illusion using things that never belonged to him. The next step was the money. Sophia opened years of financial records. At first glance, everything appeared normal. That was exactly what Hudson had counted on. He assumed Sophia was too wealthy to notice small expenses. He believed that because she controlled millions, she would ignore thousands. That was his biggest mistake. Sophia had not become successful by ignoring numbers. She started reviewing every transaction, every restaurant charge, every luxury purchase, every hotel reservation, every unusual expense. Slowly, a pattern appeared. Expensive dinners on nights Hudson claimed to work late. Designer stores, he said, were for business gifts. Jewelry purchases that never reached Sophia. Luxury experiences that had nothing to do with corporate events. The truth was written clearly in financial records. Hudson had been funding his fantasy with Sophia's money. He wanted Haley to see him as a powerful man. But the power was borrowed. The wealth was borrowed. The entire identity was borrowed. Sophia looked at the numbers on the screen and felt something inside her grow colder. She was no longer looking at her husband's mistakes. She was looking at calculated exploitation. But financial records were only part of the story. She needed something Hudson could not explain away. Something undeniable. So she moved to the next stage, observation. Hudson still had access to Sophia's luxury sports car, the same vehicle he proudly used whenever he wanted to impress Haley. Sophia knew that car had become part of his fake image. So she turned his arrogance into his weakness. Through professional assistance, she installed a legal tracking system on her own vehicle, allowing her to know exactly where her property was being taken. The first time she opened the tracking application, part of her still hoped she would be wrong. She was not. The locations confirmed everything. The car was not at business meetings, not at corporate events, not where Hudson claimed to be. Again and again, the vehicle appeared near places connected to Haley. Restaurants, shopping districts, the luxury estate. Every movement exposed another lie. Every location destroyed another excuse. Hudson was unknowingly creating the map of his own downfall. But Sophia still needed the truth behind the closed doors. She needed to hear what happened when Hudson believed nobody was watching. And eventually, she got exactly that. The conversations revealed a side of Hudson she had never seen. A side that hurt more than the affair itself. Because betrayal from desire was painful. But betrayal mixed with disrespect was unforgivable. Sophia heard Haley complain about wanting more gifts, more attention, more luxury. And she heard Hudson promise everything, not with his own money, not with his own achievements, with Sophia's. The man who once told Sophia he admired her strength was now using that strength to impress another woman. Then came the moment that changed everything. During one conversation, Haley complained about being alone in the beautiful house. Sophia listened silently. The beautiful house. Her house. The home she designed. The place where she imagined building a family. To Haley, it was simply a playground. To Hudson, it was a tool to maintain a fantasy. The pain was sharp. But Sophia refused to let it control her. Pain without action was useless. Pain transformed into strategy was power. So she kept collecting. More records. More screenshots. More timelines. More evidence. Day after day, Hudson continued believing he was successfully fooling his wife. He had no idea that every lie he told was being documented. He had no idea that every move he made was strengthening Sophia's position. He thought silence meant ignorance. He never considered that silence could mean preparation. The hardest part was continuing the performance. Every morning, Sophia still sat across from him. She still drank coffee with him. She still listened to him talk about his fake responsibilities. And every morning, Hudson became more confident. He mistook her patience for weakness. He mistook her love for blindness. But Sophia understood something he did not. Real power does not always announce itself. Sometimes the most dangerous person in the room is the quietest one, because they are watching, learning, waiting. Eventually, Hudson made his biggest mistake. He became careless. He stopped hiding because he believed there was nothing to fear. The lies became easier. The spending became larger. The arrogance became obvious. And Sophia allowed it. Because every mistake brought him closer to the moment when there would be no escape. By the time she finished gathering everything, the evidence was overwhelming. Photos, financial records, locations, conversation, a complete timeline of betrayal. Hudson believed he was writing a love story where he was the successful hero saving Haley. But without realizing it, he had actually written the case against himself. Sophia looked through the final collection of evidence one evening inside her office. For the first time in weeks, she felt completely calm. Not because the betrayal hurt less, but because she had regained control. Hudson had taken her trust. He had taken her kindness. He had taken advantage of the life she created. But he made one mistake. He thought those things made Sophia weak. He never understood that the same woman who built everything from nothing was also capable of walking away and rebuilding again. Only this time she would not be rebuilding with him. She would be rebuilding after removing him. The investigation was finished. The truth was complete. And now Sophia was ready for the next move. The final mistake Hudson made was not the affair itself. It was arrogance. For months, he had successfully maintained two completely different worlds. In one world, he was Sophia's loyal husband, the supportive partner standing beside a powerful CEO, the man who smiled at charity events, attended executive dinners, and pretended to respect the woman who had given him everything. In the other world, he was the version of himself he created for Haley. A wealthy, powerful man. A provider. A hero. Someone who could offer luxury without limits. But the truth was simple. That man did not exist. The expensive restaurants were paid for with Sophia's money. The designer gifts were bought through Sophia's accounts. The beautiful estate belonged to Sophia. Even the luxury car Hudson proudly drove was a symbol of Sophia's years of sacrifice and success. Everything Hudson used to create his fantasy was borrowed from the woman he was betraying. And soon that fantasy was about to collapse. The beginning of the end came during a quiet evening at home. Sophia was sitting in the living room reviewing documents when Hudson walked in with the same confident expression he always wore before telling a lie. By now, Sophia knew that expression well. The gentle smile. The slightly apologetic tone. The carefully prepared explanation. He sat beside her and told her there was an unexpected business emergency. According to him, an important client issue had appeared, and he needed to travel for several days to handle the situation personally. Months earlier, Sophia would have admired his dedication. She would have told him how proud she was. She would have believed every word. This time she simply listened, because she already knew the truth. There was no business trip, no emergency, no important client. There was only Haley, and a luxury weekend getaway that Hudson planned to pay for using the life Sophia had created. Sophia looked into his eyes, searching for even the smallest sign of guilt. There was nothing. No hesitation. No regret. No shame. Hudson had become so comfortable lying that deception felt natural to him. That was the moment Sophia understood something important. The man standing in front of her was no longer the husband she once loved. He was simply someone wearing his face. Instead of confronting him, Sophia smiled calmly. She told him she understood. She wished him a safe trip. She even helped him prepare for the journey. Hudson interpreted her kindness as trust. He believed he had won again. But he never realized that Sophia was not allowing him to escape. She was allowing him to walk directly into the trap he created himself. The next morning, Hudson left the house full of confidence. He kissed Sophia goodbye. He promised to call her. He told her he would bring something special back from his trip. Every sentence was another lie added to a mountain that was already about to collapse. Sophia stood at the doorway and watched him drive away in her luxury sports car. The same car he planned to use to impress another woman. She waved goodbye. A calm, gentle smile remained on her face. But the moment the vehicle disappeared beyond the gates, that smile vanished. The waiting was over. Now it was time for the truth. Sophia walked into her office and opened the tracking system. The location appeared immediately. Just as she expected, the car was not heading toward the airport. It was not going toward any business destination. Instead, it was moving toward the coast, toward luxury hotels, toward Haley. Sophia watched the small moving signal on the screen with complete silence. Every mile confirmed another lie. Every movement strengthened her decision. Hudson was still playing a game, but he had no idea Sophia already knew all the rules. Hours passed. Sophia waited patiently. She understood Haley's personality perfectly. A woman who had spent months enjoying a lifestyle she never earned would eventually want the world to see it. Luxury meant nothing to someone like Haley, unless other people were watching. And Sophia was right. Later that afternoon, a notification arrived from her friend Rachel. Only a few words appeared. "You need to see this." Sophia opened the message. It was Haley's social media story. The video started inside Sophia's car. Her leather seats, her expensive sunglasses, her entire world being displayed like a trophy by someone who had stolen access to it. Haley smiled into the camera as if she had won. She showed the luxury interior, the beautiful road, the expensive lifestyle. Then the camera moved toward Hudson. He was smiling, relaxed, happy. A man enjoying everything Sophia built while pretending she did not exist. But the worst part was not the video. It was the caption. Haley had written a message mocking the clueless wife who had no idea they were living the perfect life. Sophia read those words several times. Slowly, carefully. There was no anger on her face. No tears. No shaking hands. Only silence. Because that single sentence changed everything. Before that moment, Sophia saw them as two people who betrayed her. Now she saw them as two people who believed they had defeated her. They were not only stealing from her, they were laughing at her. And that was the mistake Sophia would never forgive. She saved the video. She saved every screenshot. Then she made one phone call. Her father, Arthur. Arthur was not only Sophia's father. He was the person who taught her how to survive in a world full of people waiting to take advantage of weakness. He had built his own empire from nothing and understood betrayal better than anyone. When he answered the phone, Sophia did not waste time. She simply told him the truth. Hudson had betrayed her. There was silence. Then Arthur asked for the evidence. Sophia sent everything. The photos, the transactions, the recordings, the video, the proof of months of lies. When Arthur called back, his voice was calm. But Sophia knew him well enough to recognize the anger beneath it. Hudson had not only hurt his daughter, he had humiliated her. And Arthur understood exactly what Sophia wanted. She did not want revenge built on emotion. She wanted accountability. She wanted Hudson and it. Together, Sophia and Arthur prepared for the final confrontation. They followed the car's location. They waited. They calculated the perfect moment. Hudson and Haley spent their weekend believing they were untouchable. They enjoyed expensive meals, beautiful views, luxury experiences. They laughed inside a fantasy that was already falling apart, because every moment was being recorded, every location was being tracked, every lie was being documented. On Sunday afternoon, Hudson and Haley finally began driving back. Inside the car, they believed they were returning from another successful escape. They had no idea everything was about to end. Sophia sat inside a black luxury vehicle beside her father. Her expression was unreadable. She was not nervous. She was not afraid. For the first time in months, she felt completely in control. The tracking signal showed Hudson's car approaching. Arthur looked at his daughter. He asked one final question. Was she certain? Sophia looked ahead. She thought about every lie, every betrayal, every moment Hudson used her kindness against her. Then she answered, yes. A few minutes later, Sophia saw the car. Her car. The same vehicle Hudson used as a symbol of fake success. Inside, Haley was laughing. Hudson was smiling. They still believed the illusion belonged to them. Then everything changed. Sophia's vehicle moved ahead and forced Hudson to stop. Another car positioned behind him. There was nowhere to run. For several seconds, Hudson looked confused. Then he saw Sophia step out. The color disappeared from his face. Because at that moment he knew. She knew everything. Sophia walked toward the car slowly. She was not the broken wife Hudson expected. She was calm, confident, powerful. Haley looked terrified. The same woman who had proudly mocked Sophia online could no longer even look her in the eyes. Sophia opened the door and looked directly at them. The silence was heavier than shouting. Finally, Hudson spoke. He tried to explain. He tried to say it was complicated. He tried to create one final lie. Sophia stopped him. No. One simple word. Enough to end everything. She showed him the evidence. The messages. The spending records. The photos from the house. The video Haley posted. With every piece of proof, Hudson became quieter. There was nothing left to deny. People nearby began noticing. Phones appeared. Cameras started recording. The perfect image Hudson and Haley created was disappearing in front of everyone. Sophia looked at Haley. The woman who had called her clueless. The woman who believed she had stolen a better life. Then Sophia calmly asked one question. You enjoyed everything I built. Tell me, what exactly did you win? Haley had no answer. Because without Sophia's money there was nothing. No luxury. No status. No dream. Everything was fake. Then Sophia turned to Hudson. The man she once loved. The man she once trusted. And for the first time she saw him clearly. Not as her husband. Not as her partner. But as someone who chose temporary admiration over genuine loyalty. You wanted to feel powerful, Sophia said quietly. But a powerful man builds his own life. He does not steal one from the woman who trusted him. Those words destroyed Hudson more than anger ever could. Because they were true. Sophia took back the keys to her car. She informed him that his access to her accounts, properties, and privileges was over. The fantasy ended at that moment. No more borrowed wealth. No more pretending. No more hiding behind Sophia's success. As Sophia walked away, Hudson finally understood the truth. He had not lost because Sophia discovered his secret. He lost because he underestimated the woman who gave him everything. The woman he thought was too loving to notice. Too busy to investigate. Too emotional to fight back. He was wrong. Sophia entered that confrontation as a betrayed wife. But she walked away as the woman who reclaimed her own power. And behind her, Hudson and Haley were left standing in the ruins of a world that never truly belonged to them. When Sophia stepped back into the black vehicle beside her father, she did not look behind her. Not even once. There was no need. The chapter of her life that included Hudson had already ended. The man standing on the side of the road was no longer the husband she remembered. He was no longer the person she planned a future, with the person she trusted with her dreams, or the person she believed would stand beside her through every challenge. He was simply a reminder of a mistake she would never make again. For months, Hudson had controlled the story. He decided what Sophia knew. He decided which lies to tell. He decided how much of her own life he would secretly give away to someone else. But that control disappeared the second the truth came out. Now, Sophia was the one making decisions. And unlike Hudson, she did not need deception. She only needed action. The drive home was completely silent. Arthur sat beside his daughter, occasionally looking at her with concern. He expected sadness. He expected anger. He expected the emotional collapse that usually followed a betrayal that deep. But Sophia remained calm. Her eyes stayed focused ahead. Her breathing was steady. The pain was still there, but something stronger had replaced it. Clarity. For the first time in months, she no longer had to wonder. No more questions. No more doubts. No more searching for explanations from someone who had already proven his words meant nothing. She had the truth. And the truth gave her freedom. The moment Sophia returned to her estate, she did not walk into the bedroom and cry over old memories. She did not look through wedding photos. She did not replay conversations searching for where everything went wrong. That version of Sophia was gone. Instead, she walked directly into her private office. The same room where she had built companies, closed impossible deals, and made decisions that changed her entire future. Now she was about to make another one. Removing Hudson completely. Her first call was to her financial team. The instructions were simple, immediate, final. Every account connected to Hudson was reviewed. Every shared financial privilege was removed. Every card connected to Sophia's personal wealth was canceled. For years, Hudson had enjoyed access to a world he never created. Luxury travel, expensive restaurants, designer purchases, a lifestyle built from Sophia's discipline and sacrifice. He had mistaken access for ownership. That mistake ended within minutes. The credit cards he proudly used to impress Haley became useless pieces of plastic. The financial freedom he believed would always exist disappeared. The illusion of power was gone. Sophia understood something Hudson never did. Real success is not what someone can spend. It is what someone can create. And without Sophia behind him, Hudson had created nothing. After securing her finances, Sophia moved to the next step. Her home. The place that was supposed to represent safety. The place where she once believed love existed. Hudson had violated that trust. And she refused to allow the person who betrayed her to walk through those doors again. A professional security team arrived within hours. Every lock was changed. Every access code was deleted. Every digital entry system was reset. The gates, the garage, the doors, everything. The estate that Hudson once entered freely was now completely closed to him. Sophia watched quietly as the security system was updated. There was something symbolic about it. She was not only locking Hudson out of a house, she was locking him out of her life. After that, she entered their bedroom. For the first time since discovering the betrayal, she allowed herself to truly look around. The room was filled with memories, vacations, anniversaries, celebrations, moments that once felt real. But memories could not erase choices. A beautiful past did not excuse a cruel present. Sophia opened the closet. Hudson's expensive suits hung neatly inside. Designer jackets, luxury shoes, watches, accessories, everything that helped him create the image of a successful man. And almost everything had come from her. For years she had given because she loved him. She never counted the cost. She never used money as control. She simply wanted the person beside her to share the life she created. But Hudson had taken generosity and confused it with weakness. That realization removed the last hesitation from her heart. She called her staff. Every item belonging to Hudson was removed. Clothing, personal belongings, documents, anything connected to him. The house slowly transformed. With every empty space, Sophia felt lighter. It was painful, but necessary. Sometimes healing does not begin by adding something new. Sometimes it begins by removing what should no longer remain. By the time everything was finished, the home felt different. Quiet, empty, but honest. And Sophia preferred an honest silence over a beautiful lie. Meanwhile, Hudson was experiencing the collapse of the world he thought belonged to him. After the confrontation, he still believed he could fix things. He convinced himself Sophia was simply angry. That after enough apologies, enough explanations, enough emotional words, she would eventually forgive him. Because that was the mistake Hudson always made. He underestimated her. He thought Sophia's love had no limits. He forgot that love and self-respect are two very different things. When he finally returned to the estate, reality was waiting. The gates did not open. His code failed. His key no longer worked. At first he thought it was a mistake. He tried again. And again. Nothing. For the first time, Hudson stood outside the life he had been pretending to own. A life that was never his. He called Sophia. Once. Twice. Repeatedly. Finally, she answered. His voice was desperate. He said they needed to talk. He said he could explain. He said everything had gotten out of control. Sophia listened quietly. There was a time when hearing pain in Hudson's voice would have broken her heart. That time was over. Because now she understood something. Hudson was not sorry when he hurt her. He was sorry when he lost everything. There was a difference. Sophia did not argue. She did not insult him. She did not ask why. She simply ended the conversation. Because some people do not deserve another chance to rewrite the truth. The next morning, the consequences continued. At the company, Hudson expected his position to protect him. He believed years of working there meant he still had influence. But once again, he confused connection with achievement. The investigation Sophia prepared was complete. Financial misuse, unprofessional conduct, damage to the company's reputation. Everything was documented. Every decision followed proper procedure. There was no emotional revenge, only accountability. Hudson was officially removed from his position. The office he once entered with confidence no longer belonged to him. The employees who once respected him finally understood the truth. The image he created disappeared. Haley faced the same reality. The company opportunity she once received was gone. The lifestyle she enjoyed was gone. The fantasy Hudson promised her was gone. They had built their relationship on stolen comfort. And the moment that comfort disappeared, there was nothing strong enough to hold it together. But Sophia was not finished. The final step was the most important. The marriage. Her legal team had already prepared everything. Every document. Every record. Every piece of evidence. The divorce filing was not created from anger. It was created from facts. Sophia did not want revenge through endless arguments. She wanted freedom. Hudson had broken the foundation of their marriage long before she signed any papers. The legal process simply confirmed what was already true. The partnership was over. When Sophia finally looked at the divorce documents, she felt something unexpected. Not happiness. Not satisfaction. Peace. Because she knew she had done everything she could. She had loved honestly. She had trusted completely. She had given Hudson a place beside her, and he chose to destroy it. That choice belonged to him. But what happened next belonged to her. For the first time in a long time, Sophia slept peacefully. No hidden messages. No suspicious explanations. No uncomfortable feeling that something was wrong. Only silence. Only freedom. Only the beginning of rebuilding. Hudson believed losing Sophia meant losing money, comfort, and status. But he never understood the biggest loss. He lost the one person who believed in him before he pretended to be someone else. And Sophia finally understood the most important truth. Removing someone who destroys your peace is not losing a part of your life. Sometimes it is the moment you finally get your life back. The most painful part of losing everything was not the moment Hudson walked away from Sophia's estate. It was the moment he realized nothing waiting outside those gates truly belonged to him. For years, Hudson had lived inside a world of comfort, influence, and luxury. He wore expensive suits, attended exclusive events, drove beautiful cars, and walked into rooms with the confidence of someone who believed he had earned his place. But after Sophia removed herself from his life, the truth became impossible to ignore. The lifestyle had never been his. The respect had never been his. The power he showed Haley had never been his. It was all borrowed, and now the owner had taken it back. At first, Hudson refused to accept reality. His pride would not allow it. He convinced himself that Sophia was simply reacting emotionally. He believed that after a few days, when her anger disappeared, she would remember their years together and allow him back into her life. After all, that was what he had always depended on. Sophia's patience. Sophia's forgiveness. Sophia's love. But this time was different. The woman who once protected him was now protecting herself. The next morning, Hudson reached for his phone, expecting messages from coworkers, business contacts, or people asking for his side of the story. Instead, he found something completely different. The videos from the public confrontation had spread everywhere. The image he spent years creating was destroyed overnight. People were not talking about Hudson, the successful executive. They were talking about Hudson, the man who used his wife's money to impress another woman. Every comment felt like another reminder of the truth he wanted to escape. The world finally saw what Sophia had discovered. Without her success behind him, Hudson had nothing impressive to show. His reputation disappeared faster than he ever imagined. Former business contacts stopped answering his calls. People who once invited him to exclusive events suddenly became unavailable. The respect he thought belonged to him vanished. The second Sophia's name was no longer attached to his. That was when Hudson finally understood something humiliating. Many people had not respected him because of who he was. They respected the position Sophia allowed him to stand in, and he had destroyed the only person who genuinely believed he could become more. Haley was experiencing her own downfall. Only days earlier, she had been living inside a beautiful estate, wearing designer clothes, eating at expensive restaurants, and pretending she had finally reached the life she always wanted. She imagined herself as the winner, the woman chosen over a powerful CEO, the woman who captured the attention of a wealthy man. But once Sophia disappeared from the picture, Haley discovered the truth. Hudson was not the man she thought he was. There was no unlimited money, no private fortune, no luxury lifestyle waiting for them. The expensive world she loved belonged entirely to Sophia. The man she admired had been wearing someone else's crown. At first, Haley refused to believe it. She questioned Hudson repeatedly. She asked about his savings, his investments, his properties, his future plans. Every answer made her more disappointed. There were no hidden millions. There were no secret assets. There was no backup plan. There was only Hudson, a man who had spent months pretending to have a life he could never afford. The admiration Haley once gave him slowly turned into resentment. The same qualities she praised disappeared. When Hudson could buy expensive dinners, she called him generous. When he could provide luxury, she called him successful. When he could give her access to Sophia's world, she called him amazing. But without those things, she saw him differently. Suddenly, he was not a hero. He was just a man who had lost everything. Their relationship began falling apart almost immediately. The sweet conversations disappeared. The compliments stopped. The romantic illusion faded. Reality replaced fantasy. Instead of luxury hotel rooms, they argued inside a small, uncomfortable apartment. Instead of expensive restaurants, they worried about basic expenses. Instead of planning vacations, they blamed each other for their situation. The relationship that seemed exciting when surrounded by stolen luxury could not survive ordinary life. Because it was never built on loyalty. It was built on escape. Hudson blamed Haley. He told himself everything would have been fine if she had not posted that arrogant video online. If she had not mocked Sophia publicly. If she had not been so desperate to show off. But deep down, he knew that was not the real reason he lost everything. Haley did not destroy his marriage. He did. Every lie was his choice. Every secret meeting was his choice. Every time he used Sophia's resources to impress another woman, he made that decision himself. Accepting that truth was harder than losing the money, because money could be blamed on circumstances. But betrayal revealed character. Haley blamed Hudson as well. She accused him of lying about who he really was. She said he made her believe he was powerful. She said he promised a life he could not actually provide. And she was right. But she also had to face her own truth. She ignored the warning signs because she liked the benefits. She enjoyed the gifts. She enjoyed the attention. She enjoyed feeling superior to Sophia without realizing she was living from Sophia's success. Both of them had created the same illusion. And now both of them were trapped in the consequences. As weeks passed, life became even more difficult. Finding new opportunities was nearly impossible. The public scandal followed them everywhere. Companies searched their names and found the story. People recognized them. Their mistake had become part of their identity. Hudson, who once walked through corporate buildings with confidence, now avoided eye contact with strangers. The expensive suits disappeared. The luxury watches disappeared. The confident smile disappeared. Everything that made him feel important had been external. Without those things, he had no idea who he was. That realization became his greatest punishment. Not losing Sophia's money. Not losing the house. Not losing the career. But discovering that the powerful version of himself he loved so much had never actually existed. It was a character created using someone else's achievements. Meanwhile, Sophia's absence became louder every day. Hudson began remembering moments he once ignored. The way she encouraged him. The way she believed in him. The way she gave him opportunities without ever making him feel small. For years, he thought Sophia's success made him invisible. Now he understood the truth. Sophia was never the person holding him back. She was the person lifting him up. His insecurity had convinced him that her strength was his weakness. But the reality was completely different. Her strength had been protecting him the entire time. And he destroyed that protection for someone who only admired the illusion. Months later, Hudson and Haley were almost unrecognizable from the confident couple who once laughed inside Sophia's luxury car. The excitement was gone. The attraction was gone. The fantasy was gone. All that remained were two people connected by regret. They had chased a life built on shortcuts. They wanted the rewards without the sacrifice. They wanted the appearance of success without the years of work required to create it. But eventually, every illusion meets reality. And reality always wins. The most ironic part was that Sophia no longer needed to punish them. She did not need to follow their downfall. She did not need to watch them suffer. She simply removed herself. That was enough. Because the moment Sophia took away everything that belonged to her, Hudson and Haley were left with exactly what they had created on their own. Nothing. Their downfall was not caused by Sophia's revenge. It was caused by their own choices finally catching up with them. Hudson lost the woman who truly loved him. Haley lost the fantasy she desperately wanted. And both learned the same painful lesson. A life built from someone else's success will always collapse the moment that person decides to walk away. After everything ended, many people expected Sophia to change. They expected the betrayal to make her colder, more suspicious, less willing to trust. After all, losing someone you loved was painful. But discovering that the person you loved had been using your kindness against you created a completely different kind of wound. Hudson had not only broken a marriage, he had tried to destroy the one thing Sophia valued most, her belief in people. For a while, the silence inside her home felt unfamiliar. There were no more conversations waiting for her after long days at work. No footsteps in the hallway. No familiar voice asking about her meetings. No one sitting across from her at breakfast. The life she had known for years disappeared almost overnight. But strangely, Sophia did not feel empty. She felt free. For the first time in months, she could wake up without questions, without wondering if someone was lying, without feeling that uncomfortable instinct telling her something was wrong. The truth, no matter how painful, gave her something the illusion never could: peace. Sophia understood that healing did not mean pretending the betrayal never happened. It meant accepting that something painful happened without allowing it to control the rest of her story. Hudson was a chapter, not the entire book, and Sophia was finally ready to write the next one. The first thing she decided to change was the house. The luxury estate that once represented her future with Hudson carried memories she no longer wanted to keep. For a short time, she considered selling it. Many people told her it would be easier. Start somewhere new. Leave the past behind. But Sophia saw things differently. Why should she abandon something she created because someone else disrespected it? That house was never Hudson's dream. It was hers. She was the one who designed it. She was the one who imagined it. She was the one who turned an idea into reality. Hudson and Haley had temporarily stolen its meaning. Now Sophia was taking it back. She hired new designers. Not because the house needed more luxury, but because it needed a new identity. Everything connected to the betrayal disappeared. The bedroom was completely redesigned. The furniture was replaced. The colors changed. The spaces that once carried painful memories slowly transformed into something peaceful, something that belonged only to her. The room where she once discovered heartbreak became a place where she enjoyed quiet mornings with coffee and books. The kitchen that once felt like a reminder of betrayal became a place where she cooked with friends and family. The garden became her favorite place. Every flower she planted represented something new: growth, healing, a future that was still waiting. Sophia realized that places do not hold power over people. People decide what places mean. And she refused to let Hudson's mistakes define a home she worked so hard to create. While rebuilding her personal life, Sophia also focused on expanding her company. Many people assumed the divorce would slow her down. They thought the emotional damage would affect her leadership. They were wrong. Sophia returned stronger than before. Not because she ignored the pain, but because she learned from it. The experience taught her more about trust boundaries and understanding people than any business challenge ever had. She became a different kind of leader. Still powerful, still intelligent, but even more aware. She understood that success was not only measured by profits and achievements, it was measured by the ability to survive difficult moments without losing yourself. Under Sophia's leadership, her company entered its strongest period yet. New partnerships formed. New offices opened. Her influence expanded beyond anything she had imagined. Business magazines wanted interviews. Young entrepreneurs wanted advice. People called her story inspiring. But Sophia never saw herself as someone extraordinary. She simply saw herself as someone who refused to let one person's betrayal become the ending of her journey. During one interview, a reporter asked her a question: "How did you rebuild after losing someone you trusted so deeply?" Sophia thought carefully before answering. Because the truth was not simple. She did not rebuild because she forgot Hudson. She rebuilt because she remembered herself. For years, she had given love, support, and opportunities to someone else. Now, she was finally giving those things back to herself. Her answer became something many people remembered. Sometimes losing the wrong person gives you the chance to find yourself again. Those words reached more people than Sophia expected. Messages began arriving from women and men who had experienced similar betrayals. People who had lost confidence. People who believed someone else's actions determined their worth. Their stories touched Sophia deeply. That was when she decided her next project would not be about business. It would be about helping others. She created a foundation dedicated to supporting people rebuilding their lives after emotional and financial hardship. The foundation offered resources, education, career opportunities, and guidance for those trying to start again. Sophia understood something important. Not everyone had the resources she had. Not everyone could walk away easily. So she used her success to create opportunities for others. The empire Hudson once tried to use for selfish reasons became something that helped thousands of people. That became Sophia's greatest victory. Not destroying him, not proving him wrong, but turning pain into something meaningful. Years passed. Life moved forward. Sophia changed in ways she never expected. She traveled more. She spent time with people who genuinely cared about her. She learned to enjoy quiet moments instead of constantly chasing the next achievement. For the first time, happiness was not connected to proving herself. It was simply living. And eventually, when she was no longer searching for love, love found her. His name was Daniel. Unlike Hudson, Daniel was not impressed by Sophia's wealth. He respected her success, but he was more interested in the person behind it. He wanted to know what made her laugh, what inspired her, what dreams she still carried. At first, Sophia was careful. She no longer confused words with loyalty. She understood that trust was not built through promises. It was built through consistent actions. And slowly, Daniel proved himself. Not with expensive gifts, not with dramatic gestures, but with honesty, respect, patience, the things that actually mattered. He never tried to compete with Sophia's success. He celebrated it. He never needed her to become smaller so he could feel bigger. That was when Sophia finally understood what real partnership looked like. Love was not about one person standing above the other. It was about two people standing beside each other. Years after the divorce, Sophia unexpectedly saw Hudson again. It happened at a business event. For a moment, they simply looked at each other. The memories were still there, but the pain was gone. Hudson apologized. Not the desperate apology of someone trying to recover what he lost. A real apology. One that came from finally understanding what he had done. Sophia accepted it. But accepting an apology did not mean returning to the past. Some doors close for a reason, and Sophia had no desire to reopen one that led somewhere she had already escaped. When she walked away that night, she felt nothing but peace. No anger, no sadness, no regret. That was when she knew she had truly healed. Because the opposite of love is not hate. Hate still keeps you connected. Real freedom is when someone who once hurt you no longer controls your emotions. Looking back, Sophia realized something important. Hudson thought losing her meant losing money, a house, a lifestyle, but he never understood that those things were never her greatest value. Sophia's true power was never in what she owned. It was in who she was. Everything could be rebuilt. Businesses, homes, dreams, even happiness. The only thing she refused to lose was herself. And in the end, Sophia did not win because Hudson failed. She won because she moved forward. She chose peace over bitterness, growth over revenge, self-respect over a broken relationship. The greatest victory of her life was not watching the people who betrayed her lose everything. It was realizing that after everything they took from her, they never took away her ability to begin again.